Welcome back to another episode of 7,000 Volts, Living in an Electrified Life, the podcast that charges your mind, body, and spirit with real talk, real power, and transformation. Today's topic, following the doctor's orders. And I have a special guest to help us and give us those orders, Dr. Chukwudi Ufondu. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. It was great. It's great to have you on. I'm excited for my listeners to hear your knowledge, your expertise on, number one, why you became a doctor and why it's important to listen to the doctor's orders when given.
Yeah, thank you so much. Medical practice is a very holistic kind of practice. And it's holistic in the sense that you have to follow exactly the orders to get things right.
Yes.
Because nothing happens in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. And just like you mentioned, there are 3 dimensions to life when it comes to an individual. You look at the body, you look at the mind, and you look at the spirit. Now, any of those 3 dimensions can be sick, can be malfunctioning, and for us to fix it, we need an order. Just like everything we do in life, the concept of order itself is to have a sequence, a process. So, first of all, the reason why I ended up becoming a doctor is because from day one, I've always had a passion to help.
Yes.
And, to have selfless act of helping people, helping humanity, giving, loving, caring. So from a very early stage in my life, I've always known that this is my calling, this is my passion, this is the place that I can try, because each time I'm helping, I come to my own person, the things that move me and drive me in the right direction. So, from my childhood days, I've always known that medical practice is going to be my area of specialty. But a couple of things happened growing up when I encountered a lot of, people that should have been given a second chance, but because they didn't really have access to, the healthcare they needed, or preventive healthcare, especially things you can prevent, unfortunately, they didn't have access to the right kind of doctors that will help them. So that particular experience helped me to, kind of go the route of becoming a doctor, so I can use that my passion to help give back to the society by helping people that can't necessarily help themselves.
Where were you born? Where were you originally from?
Okay, so originally I was born in Nigeria. I came from Nigeria. Nigeria is in the West African part of the world, and I came to America in 2009.
Yes.
And currently I'm a public health practitioner, and my specialty is fertility and preventive health. So the reason why I chose this area is because over time growing up, I had a couple of challenges, family-related challenges. And over time, those challenges, in life, when you have challenges, you actually have the raw materials to have a finished product. Yes. So without challenges, you cannot have results. Yes. So the fact I was able to overcome those challenges and have results, I was able to write my own story. I was able to tell my story, because the problem is, when you're not the person telling your story, you become a statistic.
Yes.
But when you have challenges and you overcome those challenges, of course, just like you rightly mentioned, you have to have an order.
Yes.
So that's the concept of that doctor's order. So the reason why a doctor will give you an order is because he's taking time to look at the holistic information about what brought you to the clinic.
Yes.
So we ask you questions, we check your vital signs, we check your blood pressure, we check your heart rate, we do all those interesting things, send you to the lab, draw your blood. Then at the end of the day, we're going to tie everything together to come out with a diagnosis. So diagnosis simply means this is actually what we feel might be leading to that problem you had. So at that point of hitting the diagnosis, we're going to give you an order.
Yes.
So an order is like, take this step. So another might be, probably we felt you have an infection, an upper respiratory infection, I give you an antibiotics for 5 days. That 5 days order is based on a proven fact that once you take it for that 5 days, exactly the way it's prescribed, you're going to be better. So the same thing is applicable to everything you do in life. So depending on what your reference point is, for example, majority of us identify with God, we are Christians, so our reference point is God.
Yes.
And God has his own steps. God has his own precepts, his own orders. So the same way we have doctor's orders, we also have God's orders.
And what's funny when you say that, when you say God's orders, I remember Jesus gave orders. He had somebody go wash in the pool. I don't know what pool he had him wash in. He had the
I think it's River Jordan or something. A leprosy.
Yeah, and then he had somebody put clay on their face and wash their face, and he had another person do this or do that, and then he always gave a command.
Correct.
Go and do this,
Correct.
or go and sin no more.
Correct.
And it's funny. It's funny, and it's not funny because the orders that Jesus gave, it was simple. It's not the getting in the pool or doing this. It's the fact that you are obedient to the order. That's when the healing begins. When you're obedient.
Correct.
To those that have rule over you, where this, you're following your spiritual path.
Correct.
Or your doctor, and sometimes people wonder why they can't heal. Well,
Correct.
God said, I put this doctor here for you. Correct. And I assigned him to you.
Correct.
But you won't follow his orders.
Correct.
In fact, you don't even follow my orders.
Exactly.
And then they wonder why life is turned in such a way where they can't get a healing or a blessing, or they can't prosper in life. Like you said, we all start off with a problem. We all were born and we can't walk.
Sure.
And
you learn.
And so we have to be taught.
Sure.
We have to be taught to walk. And the purpose of this podcast is not to point out problems, but to have a solution.
Sure.
And so the solution today was, hey, follow the doctor's orders. Whether it's Jesus himself, the orders that he's given way before our time, or your current doctor, or the doctor we're talking to today, Dr. Ufondu, because the obedience is more, to me, it's more sacred than sacrifice. It's stronger than your faith, because if you can follow the principles of what God, those instructions he's given us.
Sure.
All things are possible for those who believe. Sometimes all we have to do is believe, and we won't even believe because we won't follow the basic instructions that has been given to us.
Correct.
So in your journey of becoming a doctor, we know it didn't happen overnight. Share with them that path. Was it easy? Was it an easy, smooth road, or did you have some challenges?
Oh yeah. I mean, if it's easy, everybody will be doing it, right?
Yes.
And easy, it's a mindset. Just like life is a mindset, everything happens in the mind. The reason why the concept of being hard, it's there, is because when you look at what you've overcome, then you will feel good.
Yes.
But life is more like climbing the mountain, right? You will not stop climbing mountains, because the moment you feel you've climbed a mountain, there's a higher mountain to climb. So going through medical school training, coming out for specialty training is tough.
Yes.
You have to have dedication. Of course, you have to follow the orders. So just like we have the doctor's orders, for you to become a doctor, you have to have a medical student's order. So there are basic precepts you have to take. There are basic steps you have to take. You have to be dedicated. You have to read. You have to be open to do a lot of research. So in doing all those things, what you're practically doing is to follow the orders of your teachers.
Yes.
Because nothing happens in a vacuum. So just like life, nobody just came into this world and just knew everything. You followed simple orders. Just like mirroring a baby. When a baby is born today, the first thing the baby will do once the baby comes into the world is to cry, right? Do you know the reason why the baby is crying?
No.
Because the baby is confused.
Yes.
The baby was previously in the mother's womb, safe, chilling, doing stuff. Then suddenly you're introducing the baby into a different world. So the baby is confused. The baby is feeling hopeless. But by the time the mother's bosom and the breast comforts the baby, and the baby begins to breastfeed, the baby will start getting accustomed to what it feels to be in the world. So all those basic milestones that the baby will accomplish. For example, the baby will breastfeed. Over time, the baby will start, achieving one or few milestones, smiling, recognizing the mom, sitting, walking, running, having his or her own personality. So it's just like those basic steps.
Yes.
So for me to become a doctor and actually be the kind of doctor in my own area, I have to follow those orders.
Yes.
From my teachers, from my parents, from my friends, from the people that actually believe in me. I have to follow those orders, because nobody solely became whatever they became alone.
Yes.
There were so many people that poured into you. So the concept is to understand that before you get to anywhere you find yourself, you have to check off the boxes. You have to go through steps. You have to go through due diligence, due processes before you get there. Now, here's where it gets funny. There is no finish.
No,
There. It's a continuum.
You get to
So it's a journey. So, don't think, oh, once you get here, you're not gonna rest. The moment you are resting, you're going down 6 feet. So it's a continuous journey.
Yes.
So because that's the problem. Some people feel, oh, once I get here, then everything is gonna be okay.
That's so good. I want you to say it again. Once you're resting, what happens again?
You're going down 6 feet.
Hey, I didn't write about that particularly, but in my book, in 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life, I talk about my journey of becoming a certified arborist. Yeah. And it didn't come easy. Number one, it's not an easy test. And number two, I didn't put in the required time the first few times I tried to become a certified arborist. And I came up short, but I didn't give up.
Yeah.
I kept trying and I kept studying. And then I realized, I said, you know what? I need to really get in and understand the concept of what they want me to learn.
Correct.
5 kids, running a business, I didn't make the time to do it. And so I thought that I can wing it here and there, and there's no winging it. So it's laughable and funny when I get guys call me and say, hey, what's the easiest way to become a certified arborist? I laugh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hang up the phone, they'll call back. They say, why'd you hang up? I said, man, ain't no easy way. You got to study like I told you the last couple of times you asked me.
Correct.
You have to understand the material. Number one, you have to want to do it. You have to have a passion.
Correct.
For this area. If you just doing it thinking that you're going to make a few extra bucks, don't waste your time, because it's not going to happen.
True.
And so that's one of the things in Journey. Everybody wants that shortcut sometimes. Everybody wants the easy street.
True.
I think it was in, I mentioned this before, I think it's a movie called Annie, when the kidnappers kidnapped Annie, and they were singing this song because they gave her ransoms of $50,000. So once we get this $50,000, life is going to be easy street, like people.
Never like that.
Easy street don't exist.
Correct.
Because he just mentioned it. Because once you stop learning, you're going down 6 feet.
Oh yeah. The good news is, if you know better,
Yes.
you can are better.
Yes.
And when you are better, you become better.
Yes.
And when you become better, you can impact people. So just like the people that wanted to find the easy way out, there is no such thing. It's just a mirage.
Yes.
Even failure is part of success, because if we all succeeded in everything we wanted to do in life, we won't reference God. Yeah. We will feel we did it all by ourselves. So the essence of falling, sometimes you actually need to fall so you can appreciate your success.
Yes.
So you can actually look back, because all those stuff you felt you failed in, it's actually the flip side of the coin.
Yes.
So failure is the flip side of success, and success is the flip side of failure.
Yes.
So if you never failed, you've never tried. And nobody has succeeded 100% all the time. So it's only when, like you're telling your story, when you tried the first time, you wanted the easy way out, right? You felt you're gonna, just quickly, go through it. But you didn't get there because you didn't put in the requisite work, because you felt you can do it your way. But the moment you started doing it with others, so guess what? What we're talking about today, we're talking about doctor's orders, right? Before you became a specialist in your own jurisdiction right now, you had to check off some boxes. You have to follow some steps. You have to read within a particular confine. You have to follow the basics. You have to step from step 1, 2, 3, 4 before you get to the place you find yourself. Now, when people look at you in what you're doing now, they only see the finished product.
Yes.
And the confusing part is everybody wants to see the finished product. Nobody knows what happens when the lights are out. Nobody knows when you talk to yourself. And that's why you have to refuse for people to tell your story, because when people are telling your story, it's a minority report. The totality of your story is better when you're the person telling the story. Like, you can imagine that person that tells you, oh, what's the easiest way? Sometimes the broad way is the way that will lead you to that place you will get destroyed. But those ways that have a lot of detail will eventually get you there.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, the moment you get there, you start another journey.
Yeah, it's as broad as the way,
correct,
but narrow as the path.
Ending journey. So long as we find ourselves in this space called life, it's a continuous journey. The moment you stop your journey, you're going down 6 feet. Yes. Now the question is, at the time you go down that 6 feet, what will be remembered of you? What will be your legacy? When people mention legacy, what would they remember legacy about? What would be the stuff you will handle over to the next generation? Because when you don't do all this stuff, when you're gone, your name and everything will go with you.
Yes.
And when people don't know who you are, when you don't really have the people that you can say, oh, I was able to impact these people positively, your story will die with you. Because eventually everybody's going to go down that 6 feet. So that's the beauty of following the order. You know, when you go through the order, you will get to that point where you can look back and you say, I came, I saw, I conquered.
Yeah. And that's what drives us.
Yes.
That's the purpose of writing the book, to tell the story.
Correct.
To leave a legacy behind, because it's worth, you know, from the 7,000 votes to the incarceration, and just being a business person, building without all the resources, without anything that was handed to me or anything, just trusting and keeping my faith in God has got me to this point. So when people ask and it's like, well, how do you do it? My answer is normally 99% of the time the same. I said, because of God, his leadership. He leads the guide by not hearkening to his voice.
True. When
he puts the visions and he shows and tells me what to do. So I seek him daily because, you know, my godfather, one of my direct mentors, there's not a meeting I ever meet with him. Even now at 97, he's in the home. And when I visit him, he'll you know, he's got dementia a little bit, but he still remembers. And he said, what's the next step? What's the next step? And so I challenge my listeners. I challenge people to listen to this podcast. Hey, what's your next step? What if you didn't get it right yesterday, what is it that you can do today if you're not following your doctor's orders to keep your temple, to keep your body in tip-top shape to the optimal level so it can function? But then you have some biblical orders, the doctor in Christ, Dr. Jesus, God, however you refer to him, you have those orders.
True.
And those orders are simple. He said, seek and you shall find.
True.
He said, all things are possible for those who believe.
Correct.
So we have some simple orders that'll take us to that next level that we've been looking for. And it's not hard math. I got an episode that's coming up, and once we understand the rules to math, the formula, you know, math seems hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Until you understand the formula.
You're good.
Yeah. Once you know that formula, it's like,
it's easy.
It's smooth. It's easy smelling. It's easy selling. But when you don't know that formula, it's hard. Yeah. It's like you sitting there trying to figure out what 1 + 1 was. You know, we can sit and laugh. True. Because we're like, well, anybody knows 1 + 1 is 2, but it's not funny because you have people that don't know that.
True. But just like life, you know, there are times you begin to query if 1 + 1 is 2. And that's what makes life complicated. So what might be complicated to you might be simple to me.
Yes.
But the ability to understand that when you reference back to your order. So sometimes people act out of order. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people look for quick fix. Like someone might present with fever or headache, and they will think, I can walk into CVS or Walgreens and I can take care of myself. What are they doing? They are not following the orders. You've already seen your doctor. Your doctor has given you the orders, but you're not following those orders. You want to fix it by yourself. So the moment you deviate from your order, that's when you begin to sleep. Yeah. Just like in the Bible you mentioned. Remember when Jesus was walking on waters, you know, the disciples that you will feel will have faith like mustard seed. They didn't believe. Most of the things he wanted to do, they didn't even believe, despite the fact they were closer to him. But the moment they started believing, the moment they started seeing, because the problem is, most times in life, we want to see before we believe. But that's not the order. The order is believe.
It's like the guy that sat in front of the fireplace and said, he says, give me fire and then I'll put wood in you. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So the moment we understand the precepts, and we reference back to the order. So I'm very happy with the concept we are discussing today, because that doctor's order is always your reference point. Once you're able to reference back, just like for Christians, our reference point is the Bible. When you go there, specific orders. If you're here, go there. If you're missing, go here. So it's more like a compass. It's more like a GPS, recalculating. Yes. And life will always recalculate, because sometimes you might take off from point A and you're heading to point B. And when you get to point B, there might be some roadblocks or whatever, and he will want you to detour. The most important thing is that GPS will recalculate for you.
Yes.
And it might add some little time. Maybe you were supposed to get there by 10 minutes, and it added like 1 minute or 5 minutes. Just like life.
Yeah.
We all have projections, especially from January. We want to do this, we want to do that. And just about the time for Thanksgiving. November is Thanksgiving. So that's the time to take stock. So sometimes you will look at it, you will feel like, oh, I didn't really achieve this. I didn't get here, I didn't go there. But you are closer to getting better if you had a problem with your doctor's order than farther. So some people might take some of their drugs the second day, the symptoms might vanish, and they might be tempted to stop. If you stop at that second day and you think you fixed it, you haven't, because some things happen on the inside. They won't manifest on the outside. So if I tell you to take it for 5 days, make sure you complete it for the 5 days, because if you stop at the second day and you think you're better, those stuff that were still inside can still manifest, and from the third, fourth day, you still see yourself not getting better.
Yes.
So once you lose focus of that order and you begin to do things by yourself, for yourself, especially in this era of internet and easy access to information, there are so many false references out there. There are so many orders that are not your doctor's orders. And once you begin to go outside the orders, that's when your problems become complicated.
And this is when we take on, I grew up Pentecostal. I'm not Pentecostal now. In fact, Grace Family Church we go to is non-denominational. Okay. And I bring this to a point because I'm talking to my Pentecostal folks, and people still have that Pentecostal mindset, and they use God as a biblical crutch. Oh, well, I'm waiting on God. I'll see what he has to say when he already gave us orders. Oh, man. Yeah, and we don't want to follow those orders. We go what we call AWOL. And with all the misinformation out there, I cover a little bit of this stuff inside of my book, especially when it goes to the seed time, harvest time. All these people just want money, money, money. And that can get the average person off track.
Sure.
Because, I'm going to be careful how I say this. We're not following man. You're not following, you're not following to the T your pastor. So let's get this straight. If you're in a good shepherd, a good shepherd is going to lead you the right way, and he's going to direct you.
Correct.
To that book.
The good thing is, in this era right now, no matter how you want to wing it out, it looks more like everybody is talking about money.
Yes.
Sometimes when you go to church to just have that interaction with brethren, regardless of your denomination, because it's actually funny that you're going to church where, because you don't, belong to this particular nomenclature, that they don't identify with you. And when you go there, it feels more like the pressure of give there, give there. Even sometimes most people that go to church don't have. And you still see them squeezing to give.
Yes.
So they've made it look like it's all about giving, taking, and all that. So, and when you don't give, it makes you look transactional, like the grace that God is going to give you, or the order that God gave you, is because you have to give God something before God will give you. Yeah. But that's not the truth.
It's not.
That's not grace.
Yes.
You've already been given everything. And just like, let me wait and see what God has already given you the order. Yes. You don't need, because, most times we have this generic approach to the concept of God. God is everywhere. The reason why we actually reach out to interact with other people is to fellowship.
Yes.
But whatever you're seeking from God is already proclaimed, just like, he's already given us those orders and gave us the reference. When you follow those stuff without looking for a way of doing it your way, the problem is when you do it your way, or when you deviate from the order, then you see yourself sinking.
Yes.
Remember when Jesus was walking on water? He gave instruction for one of the disciples to come and walk the waters with him. When he lost focus on Jesus, he started sinking. But when he got back his focus and remembered who he was walking with, he was straight.
Yes.
That's how life is.
So, in our conclusion, the thing I want to say to the audience that's listening, whether on the video or audio, is the challenge is, are you taking your medicine? Are you following the instructions from your physical doctor and your spiritual doctor to help get your physical body where it needs to be at, and your spiritual body where it needs to be at? Have you given up on taking your medication? Have you given up on reading your word or writing in your journal? Asking yourself what's the next step and what is it that God wants you to do? What's your take on what you have to say to the listeners about taking their medicines, or that maybe have given up on taking their medicines spiritually and physically?
Yeah, thank you so much. So you remember I told you about the 3 dimensions, right? So we have the body, we have the mind, then we have the spirit. Now for each, you have to be very firm and very disciplined in following those orders, because if you don't do that, life is all about action and reaction, consequences. So there are others for your spiritual health, there are others for your physical health, there are others for your mental health, your emotional health, and all that. So when you take them religiously, understanding that they are all interconnected. For example, if you don't take care of your physical body, no matter how you pray about it, or you're a Christian, but you don't eat right, you don't exercise, you don't distress, you don't sleep well, your physical body is going to be sick. And for those kind of problem, you don't necessarily need drugs. You just need to modify your lifestyle. But when you have a determined problem, you will see a doctor and we identify the diagnosis and we tell you, hey, take these antibiotics or take this for this number of days. When you take that, it's going to fix the physical body, but it might not necessarily fix the spiritual body. So you have to give each of the dimensions what they require to be better. And that's where the concept of order comes into reality. So you remember in the Bible, it says, give to Caesar Caesar's and to God God's. So if you're able to attend to your spiritual order, physical order, emotional or psychological order, then your 3 dimensions will work in unity. So they will kind of back each other up. So it's more like a synergy. When this one is working, then you will now work as a unit. The moment one of those dimensions are found lacking, that's when things begin to go.
That's good stuff. I like what you just mentioned. Is like, if you're not working out, taking care of your body, I hope y'all listening to this. It doesn't matter how much you pray.
No, it's kind of fixing.
Yeah, man. That's more than a mouthful. That's life changing.
True.
Because some people think they can do one without an order. Well, I'm just gonna pray and ask God, and He's already given the instructions, and we refuse to manage. Like I mentioned this in the book in the beginning. The earth was without form and void, and God didn't allow anything to grow because He hadn't sent a manager. He hadn't created man to manage what's on earth.
True.
And that's powerful, because sometimes we as people want more, and we haven't managed what we have.
True.
And that's the key component to growing and going to the next level.
True.
Like, everybody wants to be a millionaire. Everybody can't be a millionaire. God says, how can I make you a millionaire and you can't even manage the $1,000 that I gave you?
True.
Like, people don't understand the complexity of that responsibility.
True.
Of trying to manage more money when you can't manage little.
Yeah, I remember the parable of the talents. The people, they gave everybody equal talents, and they now came back to give account of the talent they gave you. Some people hid their talents, some people use their talents to develop. Then what happened? When the master came, he took, from the people that didn't use their talent and gave to the people that used their talent. So it's just like life. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing, you don't just want things to happen and it will happen without working for it.
Yes.
And the good thing is we have our order, we have our reference point, just like everything we'll talk about today. The problem is we have spiritualized everything. The things you have to do for yourself, you want God to come and do it for you, or you're spiritual, or you pray about it. There are times you need to pray. There are times you need to put in the legwork. That's the work nobody can do for you. No matter how spiritual you are, if you don't eat right, if you don't sleep, if you don't stay active, it's on you. So you might be the best spiritual, fire-spitting Christian, ready to go to heaven, but physically, you're struggling. You're not healthy, so you can still go down. In the same way, you might have the best body, the best feet, and all that, but your spiritual life is pretty much gone. So there has to be a synergy for the three dimensions.
This is so true, man. It's just what's funny. My main mentor, my godfather, he minced no words when it comes, especially when I used to go through the hiring process. And he's like, "Well, who do you got working for you now, LJ?" And I'll tell him. He said, "What do they do? Do they show up on time?" He said, "Get rid of those bums. They're gonna bring you down." And he's just a matter of fact with
very,
it.
very direct.
Yeah, he said you can't. He said you cannot spend time with somebody that don't want it. He said it's a waste of your time and it's a waste of your money. He said keep it moving. He says that's a bum. You get rid of him.
And he's right. Just like the analogy of you can't fix someone that doesn't need fixing.
Yeah.
You can't pour into a closed mind.
Yeah.
For you to pour into somebody's mind, that person has to be open.
Yes.
So there are some people out of emotions, out of pity, we kind of keep them on our track.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also some of our friends and some of our families that can actually be anti our other.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some people that will go to the doctors will tell them exactly what they do, then they will come back and ask their friend, and their friend will give them their own version. And they will leave the doctor's order and follows their friend's orders.
I had a good friend of mine. He was older, and he passed away a couple of years ago. And wealthy individual. And the sad part about it is he didn't believe in doctors. He said it's a scam. It's just the doctors. Wow. And he literally dropped dead. And I think it was an aneurysm, something that can...
Yeah, brain aneurysm, that can kill him. It's an acute emergency.
Yeah, it's a...
But here's the deal. When things happen and when you encounter people like that, people don't just believe in what they don't believe in. They must have had their own personal experience. Mm-hmm. And that's why I believe so much in motivational interviewing, because if you understand the background where he's coming from, it's possible that something happened that really changed the way he sees people. Because I'm not sure if you are aware about the Tuskegee study. Have you heard about the history? No. So there are so many things that happened in the past. And when people clutch on one particular narrative without actually having a holistic view of whatever, just like when it comes to so many things people believe in regards to preventive, there are some people that believe, oh, if you do this, this will happen. Then there are exactly the opposite of people that believe that you don't need to do this. And that's the beauty of life. And that's why people are so unique. People are wired differently. What you might believe, I might not believe. And that's where the line comes in. But there is a universal truth we know about others. If you are going the wrong way, put that address in your GPS and your GPS will recalculate for you. So that's just like the manner to getting to your destination. So that's the role of that order. That order is your GPS. It will always get you to that destination point. It might be a little bit delayed, but you will eventually get there. But when you don't follow that order, you're going to keep going around in a circle. And you know what happens? When you go around in a circle, you're more like a rocking chair that takes you nowhere. You will just keep you busy, but you're not the fact you're moving doesn't mean you're progressing.
I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge. I'm sure my audience appreciate you. We'd love to have you back again because I really appreciate your wisdom that you had to share.
Thank you.
You've been listening to 70,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life. Remember, power flows where obedience goes. Stay charged up, stay connected, and keep living your electrified life. Until next time, peace, love, and power. God bless.